So we've got the fill-in unit in this week, so we'll see how it goes. Seth, you're our guiding light to get us through this week.
I am the lighthouse in Access Sports Weekly for this time. I don't like that pressure. I'm not sure I like the pressure.
Deal with it.
Oh, wow.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome into Access Sports Weekly. Glad to have you with us, and you might notice that this is not Bo Wilson and Jeff Hart. Jeff Hart was out last week. He's out again this week, and now Bo Wilson's out as well, but the show must go on, so I'm Caleb Hutchins. I'm joined by Gene Anderson, who you can hear most Friday nights on our AM 550 crew, and Gene, we decided to get you in for some video stuff this week, too.
The face like this just deserves to be on radio.
That's what I get told all the time. I got a face for radio.
The other side of that is my voice deserves to be in mime, so,
Well, this is, I'm a radio guy, too, so I'm never a big fan of doing the video stuff either, but like I said, the show must go on. So Bo and Jeff are out. We're filling in for you this week. Week 4 of high school football is coming up here around the area. We just wrapped up week 3, and Gene, you've been on the call of games for the first 3 weeks, and I know that you were at the Battle of Oakwood and that blowout win by West Hall this week. But your thoughts on the season so far, and have there been any surprises to you around the area?
There have been no surprises to me of teams. I suspected what we've gotten, and it's been pretty good football. I've enjoyed what I've seen. I've enjoyed what I've read about. I've enjoyed the snippets of other games that I've seen. Now, there's some individuals and some units that have surprised me a little bit. And I got to tell you, I am so impressed with the quarterback play throughout the area. I wouldn't say every quarterback, but the majority are good to very good. And we may have a few excellents in there also.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we came into the season talking a lot about Gunnar Stockton and Rabun County and Jabin Haynes at White County, but a couple of guys that I don't think we expected to be talking about at this point of the year, David Renard at Flowery Branch, who had another great game Friday night. Even though his team's 0-3, Zach Holtzclaw at Dawson County is throwing the ball all over the yard. And meanwhile, so is Cleet Cooper out at East Hall, putting up big numbers. They're 1-1 right now. So not only do we have quarterbacks that we expected to be good at this point in the year, but some names that maybe weren't on our radar in terms of big numbers and great performances are stepping up as well.
And, of course, you don't want to leave out some others, and I have to go to Jefferson and talk about Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
And I've called him Malachi and Mordecai back and forth, so it is Malachi Starks. But Malachi I had a chance to see play last year a couple of times. I haven't seen him as a quarterback, but I did see him take direct snaps. I think he touched the ball 6 times last year in the game that I called. He scored 4 touchdowns. With him getting the ball all the time, that means great things. Now, of course, Jefferson had a tremendous quarterback last year, and I get that. I get why he was playing quarterback, especially as he ran over people throughout the early part of the state playoffs. But, man, Malachi, he is, you hate to say he's an athlete because but he is an athlete who is a tremendous football player or a tremendous athlete who's a really good football player, and I expect him to go far at the next level and maybe the next level. I'm predicting way out, but you may see him on Sundays at some point in time.
Yeah, when you talk about he's obviously a great example. There's another guy in the area that was a great athlete last year that's now playing quarterback, and that's Joshua Pickett up at Habersham Central. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on because that's actually our game of the week on Access WDUN, Habersham Central hosting White County this week. But let's go to specific games from last week, Gene. You had Flowery Branch and Gainesville, and we thought this might be a good one coming in, and that's exactly what we got. It was another down-to-the-wire thriller in the Flowery Branch-Gainesville series. Flowery Branch wins it on a touchdown pass from David Renard to Sal Sangson with about a minute to go after Gainesville had come back from a 21-7 hole, and Heath Webb calling the 2-point conversion to take the lead. Of course, Flowery Branch ends up coming down and winning it, but just a wild finish there.
And I've had an opportunity to see and call so many great Flowery Branch Gainesville games, so many great games of other teams in Flowery Branch and Gainesville over the years. But Flowery Branch Gainesville has been really special among many special games. And let me tell you something, and we talked about it Friday night. The game that was the semifinals over at City Park tremendous game. But this one, I'm not, because it wasn't for the state semifinals. Wasn't who gets to go to state the finals. But it was a tremendous ball game, and I got to hear the most important part of that game. After we finished our game, I'm riding back, and I got to hear the call on that. And wow, I was excited. And when they hit Singson, and Singson a tight end, H-back. He plays. He may play wide receiver some, but I went, oh, that kid's open most of the time. They did a good job of getting the ball to him, and that's because of the other guys on the field that are the targets most of the time.
Well, let's talk a little bit, because you mentioned quarterbacks off the top, at what David Renard has done here so far this year. This was a guy that was really thrown into the fire his sophomore year when Elijah Gainey got hurt in the preseason. Had to come in and was really just asked to sort of manage the game. Flowery Branch had a great running game last year. They still have a strong running game this year, but Flowery Branch has opened up the passing game, and David Renard is just playing lights out right now. I think he was named Player of the Week by Georgia High School Football Daily. He's had back-to-back games with more than 350 yards passing. He's just playing lights out right now.
Well, what he has done is what aspiring athletes need to do. He got bigger, he got stronger, he got quicker, but he also got smarter. And he was smart last year because he came in as a sophomore and achieved. He achieved last year. Yeah, he managed the game, but he made some big throws. But let me tell you, when I say he's gotten smarter, he has learned to mold that offense to himself, or maybe the coaching staff has molded that offense to him. He does a tremendous job of seeing the field, finding the open guy, and his offensive line is doing a tremendous job also. And, of course, you've got a running back there you've got to respect all the time, because he will run past you, over you, and around you, and through you. And when you've got that balance, that is tremendous for the Falcons' future. I had a chance to see Renard half a dozen times last year. Had a chance to see him under tremendous pressure, and the kind of region they played in with the two big. I started to say bullies.
The
That's
big
not
private
right.
schools there, Blessed Trinity
and
Marist.
Yeah, they were just so good and so well coached. And Renard held his own, but he couldn't make the big plays because he wasn't ready. Man, he's ready this year.
Absolutely. You mentioned the running game. Jason Ellingham was actually out of that game for Flowery Branch. Miles Ivey came in and provided them with some a good performance there at running back, considering the situation. I mean, he went for, I think, over 70 yards and a touchdown. But one more thing I wanted to touch on in that game, Gene, Flowery Branch's defense, because they had some problems in the first 2 weeks. I thought Ben Hall, the coach for Flowery Branch, had the line of the night on the scoreboard show, and he said the defense had to take the diapers off against Gainesville, and they did, and they really held Gainesville's offense down for a good portion of that game and put them in a position to win that game.
And remember, Gainesville has a good offense.
Yes.
They have talented athletes. They run the ball fairly well. They throw the ball fairly well. And the Falcons, Flowery Branch, had struggled against the run in the first game. And I got a chance to see the second game. They struggled mightily against the passing game of Holtzclaw in Dawson County. And having said that, I understand they lost 9 starters from last year's team. They weren't just 9 starters. Those were 9 good football players they lost, and some backups also. So they are learning, and they didn't have a spring. They didn't have a summer. They didn't have any 7-on-7 drills, I don't think, unless I'm sure they didn't because they weren't supposed to. But here's the deal. They are learning. The first game they played against a tremendous football, I guess, was
St. Pius, yeah.
Running juggernaut. That was their spring game. The second game was their scrimmage this year. Think about it like that. They just got to the first game, and the defense has come light years. And now they've got to get better than they were, but they have gotten – it's not between the first and the second game like that. It's between the second and third game, and they did the job against Gainesville.
Here's Flowery Branch head coach Ben Hall talking after the game.
All right, Coach, your team played ahead virtually the whole game. You had to come back with 2 minutes left with that 2-minute offense. What do you say about the resilience of your team?
Well, we had a lead. We had untimely penalties in the second half. Offensive face mask, a couple of holes that we had to overcome. And we did a great job. Our players kept their composure. They didn't panic. We had to use timeouts in untimely situations. David Renard did an awesome job of leading us down the field. But I'm just proud of the way the kids finished the game.
So Gainesville tonight, David Renard stepped up huge for you. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, David, he's a field general. Outstanding kid. I can't say enough about him. Jason's going to be fine. You know, he got a slight ding in the shoulder. He should be ready to go after a bye week. It was precautionary on him, and we had a young running back in Miles Ivy grew up tonight.
All right, and that's Flowery Branch head coach Ben Hall talking after the win over Gainesville. Another game from last week, Gene, that was really big. Jefferson on the road at Rabun County. This was billed as a big matchup, and it was. It was a back-and-forth slugfest for much of the game, but the Jefferson defense, I thought, really stole the show. They hold Gunnar Stockton, that Rabun County offense, to 14 points, less than 250 total yards, and they allowed their offense, I thought, to just sort of grind Rabun County out. Even though I thought Rabun County's defense played well for much of the game, because of how well the Jefferson defense was playing, it allowed their offense to just sort of grind that game out.
Well, I know we're going to name a team of the week later, so I won't talk about that. But if we were naming a unit of the week, it would be the Jefferson defense.
Yeah.
It would have to be because, you know, we know Gunnar Stockton. He has done it against everybody. Who named a child Gunnar when they know that? I mean, they don't know he's going to be a quarterback. I think that is the coolest thing ever.
Perfect name.
I see kids who are linebackers who are named Ironsides.
He wasn't going to be a guard, is what you're saying.
Well, Gunnar the guard, I guess. But when you pass the ball like Gunnar Stockton and your name is Gunnar, I mean, that's got sizzle. I mean, it's just got. I had to mention that because I've been thinking it so much, and I haven't had a chance to say that.
You're not the only one.
Because, I'm sure I'm probably the last one to think that. But the fact is, Gunnar Stockton, we know he is a known commodity. Somebody did a great job of coaching, getting ready for him, and somebody, namely the defense of Jefferson, did a tremendous job of executing the plan.
No doubt. Let's hear from Jefferson head coach Gene Cathcart and what he had to say after the win over Rabun County.
All right, Coach, just a real strong victory today against a really strong Rabun team. Talk to me about how you guys prepared for this game.
Well, you know, the concern going in was obviously they're a very talented, well-coached football team, number one ranked team in 2A football, and you know, this was their third game, some big games, obviously with Prince and things, and, you know, our guys had played a half of football. So, you know, we had some cramping. Boy, the first half, you know, I think Rabun played harder than we did, and we made so many uncharacteristic mistakes. And, you know, that was frustrating, and that's on me. We got to continue to get better. But I think both football teams are built to make a long run, and it was a great night. It's two class programs, and wish Coach Shaw and his outstanding staff all the best.
What were some of the key things that you saw tonight that you guys did in order to clinch this victory?
Well, you know, you read the paper and listen to the radio, and everybody thought it'd be 70 to 65. Both defenses stepped up big and played exceptionally well. It was a physical game. That's one thing that Rabun does not get enough credit for, is not only being physical on defense, where they tackle well, and Coach Stockton does a great job, but also how physical Gunnar Stockton is, and those guys and receivers after the catch. So, you know, it was, you know, to a football purist, it was a beautiful thing. Now, to all the folks that like the high-scoring offense and everything, but it was two teams playing their heart out, and we were able to kind of exert our will the second half, wear them down a little bit, string together some drives, and of course they're always, you know, a couple plays away when 14 has the ball from getting back in it.
And finally, just what does this game tell you about your team? What kind of things do you see that you need to improve on? What did you see that you liked today?
I got to do a better job without question. We had, you know, we lined up with 10 guys. We burned timeouts. We cramped. You know, like I said, that 1 week of half of preparation or work against Central Gwinnett didn't really prepare us for a four-quarter football game. And, you know, it's hard to simulate that emotion and adrenaline on the practice field. And I got to do a better job with that. And we got to just continue to improve. And, you know, we never really found a rhythm. Rabun did a great job on first down defense in the first half and kept us behind the sticks. And, you know, it was just a really good high school football game. And like I said, wish Coach Shaw and, you know, a lot of friends on that staff, nothing but respect for them. Outstanding football team, and, you know, hopefully we'll check their scores from here on out, and they'll be winning a bunch of games like I think they will.
All right, and that's Jefferson head coach Gene Cathcart there speaking after they beat Rabun County 28-14. Gene, we've talked about Flowery Branch. We've talked about Jefferson. those two are going to have a pretty big game in a couple of weeks. And the way those two teams are trending right now, that might be a pretty fun one.
Oh, I think it will definitely be a fun one. I'm putting in a bid for that game, by the way. Bo, if you're listening, if you listen to this, that's just one of those things that needs to happen with the.
We'll get you in. We'll figure something out. We'll get you in.
I'm just saying. But that was unpaid for commercial or a begging, I guess. Solicitation. But, that should be a lot of fun. But Jefferson's defense, if you can stop Stockton, can you stop Renard? I mean, that's a great question to ask. But remember this, and I hope Ellingham's back. I mean, we missed that game, but
yeah, I think Coach Hall said he's expected to be back for their next game. They play Hiram in a couple of weeks, so I think he's expected to be back. But hopefully Jefferson's able to get through their next game or two without any injuries, and we can get both teams at full strength for that one.
Well, without injuries or the other thing, which we'll not mention on this show that could happen.
Right.
Notre Dame is a good example of that right now, but we will not mention that word because everybody else does. We won't.
Well, let's talk we'll just briefly some of the other games around the area. White County continues to roll. They blew past Pickens. Towns County, really impressive what they did, blowing out Lumpkin County. Huge win for Jason Rockmore. And the blue and black Indians beating the purple and gold Indians.
Coach Rock can coach. We've always known that. He was such a motivator of young men. And I'm sure that's – can you imagine after winning that game the other night, the excitement that was coming out of the mountains? I mean, it had to be just absolutely bedlam, even at school on Monday morning after that. Coach Rock walking around. And I mean, he inspired me to go out and play. And then I realized I can't play anymore.
Fun times in Hiawassee for sure. First time they had beaten a team ranked higher than Class Single A since 2010. Meanwhile, the game you were at, Gene, Battle of Oakwood, we were wanting to see if West Hall could get back on track. They were on a 12-game losing streak. They had lost to Johnson last year, and boy, did they. And they did it emphatically with a 50-0 shutout of the Knights.
Well, they did, and I'm going to say this: West Hall played a good football game. They got a pretty good little quarterback down there too. He's senior. He's paid his dues and doing a really good job. But I will say this, and I mean no disrespect for either one of those teams, because West Hall is going to win some more games this year. Johnson is undermanned, I think, in every game they go into. I mean, I'm talking about numbers and size and a lot of other things. I counted 28 players. Now, there may have been some that were in the tent when I was counting, but the guys on the field and the guys on the sideline, Coach Harrell is quality. He came up and talked to Brian and me last week. We had a great conversation with him. I could just tell he's going to get the job done at Johnson, but he was at such a disadvantage going into this season. I mean, all those things I said a moment ago, and he was a brand new coach. He mentioned some other, frustration's just part of what 2020 has been all about. And however, I've seen Johnson twice, and they'd have no quit in them. They continue to fight. They continue to play. Toward the end of that game, it looked like they were going to take it down against the backups for West Hall and score, and some other things went against them. You had to pull for a team like that. You wanted them to score to get that taste. But West Hall looked good. West Hall ran their offense well. Their defense was super aggressive. I expect West Hall to have additional success this year.
Well, we'll have them on our airwaves this week when they play host to Chestatee coming up later this week. Chestatee coming in 0-2 after a loss to Union County. So let's do what we always do this week. And Seth, I know that this is normally the
Will Hart Team of the Week.
Okay, we can't, but Wilson and Hart are not here. So I feel like we need to change that.
We're still calling it that.
I feel like we should do the
Don't rock the boat, Caleb.
The Ander Hutch Team of the Week.
Don't rock the boat,
Caleb. Who is the captain now? That's my question.
It's me. Don't rock the boat, Caleb.
Okay, Ander Hutch kidding. Team of the Week was my idea, but he was
really aggressive. I'm sorry, that was really aggressive.
Seth, you never do anything aggressive, and the one time you do anything aggressive, you apologize immediately after. Why you show a little backbone, Seth?
Sorry.
He's apologizing for apologizing. Let's go to Seth. You and I are going to have a talk after this thing.
All right.
Goodness, okay.
Whatever the Team of the Week is being called, it'll come up on the screen right now. But we're going to go ahead and do that. So team of the week, my pick, Gene, is going to be Flowery Branch because of what we talked about, the big win over Gainesville, the continued great play of David Renard in that offense. And I thought the thing that kind of made me pick them this week, the improvement of that defense, because if they can continue to play at that level and improve defensively with what their offense is doing, I think this is going to be a really good team headed down the stretch.
Flowery Branch makes a good case. You make a good case for them being the team of the week. I could certainly see that being great choice.
I feel a butt coming. I feel a butt coming.
But not so fast, mon ami. That means my friend in
the
French.
French Lee Corso there?
That's French Lee. No, I'm not Lee Corso. Don't want to be. But I'd have to go with Jefferson. The Dragons defensively, the game plan they went in with, the way they executed that game plan, especially on the defense and the offensive side. I'm not leaving the offense out. I didn't see the game, but I read about it, saw some film from it, film in my day, saw some tape, whatever y'all call it these days. I had a chance to see a really good football team playing a really good football team, and Jefferson is my choice as team of the week. However, if y'all want to go with Flowery Branch, I don't even have a complaint about that.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. You make a great case for Jefferson. They certainly have got a great argument. I took Flowery Branch. You take Jefferson. So the third vote is Seth. So, Seth, why don't you decide us for this week?
Both teams, of course, doing incredibly well. Both teams impressing us. But I saw Jefferson. Friday, and they impressed me very, very much. Just being able to, kind of lock down Gunner, and that's something that's incredible in and of itself.
Nobody this year done yet.
Like I said, incredible in and of itself, so that's my pick. My pick is Jefferson.
Hey, I can't argue with it. Jefferson, congratulations on being our
Will Hart Team of the Week.
Team of the Week.
Even though they're not here.
Here on Access Sports Weekly, so that'll about do it for us. We got 3 more games on air. Gene, you are going to be on our game on AM 550 this week, Buford hosting Clark Central. That's a rematch of last year's region title game when the Gladiators upset the Wolves. And
a lot of people have a tendency to forget that because they went on to win the state championship,
right,
and Clark Central was sitting at home. However, the players and coaches and the fans at Buford haven't forgotten it, and it ought to be a lot of fun down in Buford, Georgia, Friday night.
Buford and Clark Central and AM 550. Brian and Gene will be there. FM 102.9, we've got West Hall hosting Chestatee, and then over on 94.5 FM, The Lake. Gainesville playing their first home game of the year as they are hosting Discovery. We'll have video highlights coming up also of our game of the week. It's Habersham Central hosting White County. That's our game of the week on Access WDUN. That's going to be a really good one also between those two teams.
Tremendous game.
Both of those teams are undefeated right now. We'll have a little bit of a video preview coming up on that later on the week right here on the Friday Game Night page, so make sure to check that out. On behalf of Gene Anderson, Seth Chapman, I'm Caleb Hutchins. This is Access Sports Weekly. Thank you for joining us.
Guys, if you like the show, make sure you like and subscribe. Please follow us around. We're going to do some cool stuff.